Hi there, this is Mar Haddad here again. In this lecture, I have to show you how you can start configuring the router and the switch to be able to later put the UniFi access point connect to the switch and to provide wireless. So of course we need to configure the UniFi access point afterward to be able to provide the wireless to the users which are in the LAN. So you have just to imagine that you just have blank router with no configuration, switch with no configuration, and the access point with any configuration. And what you need to do is to start configuring them to be able to provide wireless to your users which are inside your LAN. So imagine something like if you are at home, for example, you have all those products and you want to configure them to be able to provide wireless to your family members. So that's the mission of this whole course, is to just at the end be able to provide internet wirelessly from the Ubiquiti UniFi access point. So as you can see here, we have 5 points to do for this lab. But before I start doing those points, let's go to the lab scenario to explain to you what is the scenario that we are going to work on for the whole course. And then I will come back to the points and start doing them. So this is our lab scenario. I have here internet connectivity, so an ISP, and I'm getting a cable to my router. All right. So the router is a layer 3 device, which we need to use it to be able to make the DHCP, to make the NAT, and to be able to share the internet to the inside users. Because at the end, what we need is that this access point is to also be able to have the internet and provide it to the internal users. So in my case, this router, it can be any type of routers, all right? So, but in my case, I just gonna use a MikroTik router. All right, so a MikroTik router is going to be the router that is going to be connected to the internet and sharing the internet. All right, now you can have maybe other routers at your home. That's no problem. The same concept that I'm going to do it, you can do it also on your router. And then afterward, we have the switch, because on this switch, we are going to connect the access point. But maybe at your home, or maybe you are doing this course to also make it for your company, you may need to have more than one access point to connect. So you need to make a bigger coverage. So in this case, you have many ports on this switch, and then you can connect another access point and another access point to be able to have other coverage. All right, so that's why we need always to have a switch, because the switch is having a lot of ports, and then we can profit from those ports to be able to put more access points. Okay, but in my case, I'm just going to use, because this is a beginner course, I'm going to use only one access point, which is this access point, the UniFi access point. It's an Ubiquiti product. It's called Ubiquiti Unified Access Point. And I'm using this one, which is AC Lite. So I'm going to show it to you in a moment on the website in case you want to buy the same product from where you can buy it, and what is the real equipment that I'm using for this course. And afterward, once we finish configuring now the router and the switch, afterward we need to start configuring the Ubiquiti product, and that's what the course is about, is how to configure the access point provided by Ubiquiti. All right, so in this lecture, I'm going only to work on the router, and I'm going to work on the switch. So the switch also is a MikroTik switch. It's a CRS, cloud router switch. So I'm going to also use it to be like a switch. Now, again, you may have also another switch, not precisely to be MikroTik. So that's not a problem. The switch is nothing more than a lot of ports to be able to provide layer 2 connectivity for your products, which are, in this case, your access point. Okay, so this is the whole idea of this lab. Let's now go back to the points and start doing them. Now, before I start doing those points, I just want to show you what is the access point that I have or I'm using for this lab. So if we go to the Ubiquiti website, we need internet. So let me just turn on my internet connectivity, because at this moment I don't have internet on my PC. So I just turn on the network card, and then we can go to the internet now. So if we go to ui.com, which is ubiquiti.com, that's the website of Ubiquiti. So from here, what you can do is to go to the product, and you go to UniFi. And the product that I'm using for this course, the access point, if we go down over here, is this one, UniFi access point AC light. So that's a really nice product. It's as you can see, it's light, so that means it has a bit less power than maybe other access point like UniFi AC Pro, this one. And also this one can do more bandwidth. So you can see this one can do 867 megabit per second. This one can do 1300 megabit per second. But anyway, this access point can use 2.4 gigahertz, can use the 5 gigahertz, and the price of this product is around like 80 euros. So it's not a very expensive product, but this one is the one that I'm going to be using in this course. So if you want, you can just go to it and then you can click on it. You can read more information about this product, and it can use, you see, the latest technology now on wireless, which is AC. So you can have some more information about this product, and of course you can buy it. All right, so that's the product that I'm using. Now for the other products, which are the routers and the switches, I just have a hub light for router, and the switch I'm using CRS. Actually, I don't think it's hub light, it's hex S. Yes, I'm using for the router a hex S, and for the switch I'm using the CRS, so series 100. So those are the products that I'm using for this course. Now let's go back to the point and start doing them. Point number 1, connect your PC and the UniFi access point to the switch and your router 1 to the switch. So they are asking us to put everything as it is on the picture. I have already done that to one time, so it's just a matter of putting cables. So just to remember what we have here. So we have, this is the switch. Router 1 is connected to the switch on the port Ethernet 1, and the PC is connected on the port Ethernet 6 to the switch, and we have the access point is connected on port Ethernet 2 to the switch. So now someone can say, why I need the computer here? So this PC I needed is just to be able to configure the equipment. So what I'm going to do later is that this is a switch on MikroTik, so I'm putting those ports on a bridge to be really like a switch. And then we have in this case layer 2 connectivity. So this is layer 2 connectivity. Every product here is connected to the same broadcast domain, which is a layer 2 connectivity here, and then I can from my PC reach to the access point, I can reach to the switch, and I can reach to the router. Alright, so that's what we have now, and everything now is connected as it is on the picture. Point number 1 is done. Point number 2, log into Winbox on the switch 1 and put all interfaces in a bridge. So what I need to do now is just, I want to make this CRS, which is over here, I want to make it a switch. To make it switch, you just need to put all ports in a bridge. So bridge is nothing more that you create later. You make it switch. Okay, so at this moment, if we go to MikroTik, in case you don't have knowledge about MikroTik, so I advise you to go to my other courses, which are free, and you can also learn how you can use the MikroTik. So I have one course which is free, and of course if you want to go to the paid courses also you can, but I'm going to do the basic things on MikroTik, and so the basic thing is to use the Winbox to be able to connect to the MikroTik router and do the configuration. So what we need to do now is to go to Winbox. Actually, what I want to say here that I don't have any more internet on my computer. I just disabled the interface. And if you want, I can just show you very fast. So if we make now on the computer ping 8.8.8.8, you see I don't have internet. All right, because afterward, when we finish this lab, we should be able to be connected to the internet from router 1. So we go to Winbox, we see the switch over here. So this is the switch. It doesn't have any configuration. So I just go to it. And what I need now to do is to put all ports inside the switch. Actually, you don't have to put all ports. We can only put the ports which are showing up here. Ethernet 1, Ethernet 2, and Ethernet 6. So let's do that. We go to the bridge. We make a bridge. And then we go to the ports which are going to be inside the switch, because the bridge means switch. So I say here that I want to have Ethernet 1. That's 1. And then let's look to the picture again. We have Ethernet 1, we have Ethernet 2 and Ethernet 6. Yeah. So this is 1, and then I'll make copy. I will make Ethernet 2, apply, copy, and Ethernet 6, which is the one connected to the computer, this port, and that's it. So we got disconnected because we moved the port to a bridge, but in a moment we should see that yes, we can see now the switch and we can see the router, because the router is now connected to the switch and my PC is connected to the switch. They are on the same broadcast domain so they can see each other. So that's what I need to do from the switch side. Port number 2 is done. Port number 3, log into Winbox on router 1 and enable the DHCP client on Ethernet 1 is router 1 connected to the internet. So what I need now to do, if we go back to the picture, I have finished configuring the switch. So that's what we need to do, basic thing. Now, what I want is that this router to be having internet, and this router is connected to the ISP router here on Ethernet 1. So what I need to do is to enable the DHCP client on Ethernet 1. So the router which is on the ISP router will provide this router here on this interface will provide IP address, will provide subnet mask, will provide gateway, will provide DNS, NTP, and more information. So in this case, this router will be connected to the internet, because at the end, what I need is that also this wireless to provide the internet that is given from the router. Okay, so let's do that. We go to router 1. So we go to Winbox. And now we see router 1 is over there. Also, router 1 doesn't have any configuration. So I'll just connect to it. Now, if we go to router 1 on the command line and I say ping 8.8.8.8, you see that this router is not connected to the internet. So I just stop the ping. I need to go now to the IP DHCP client. DHCP client over here, and I say I want to enable DHCP client on Ethernet 1. And then I will say here that I want to use the peer DNS, the NTP, and to provide the default gateway. And then I'll say OK. And look now, it has bound and it has received an IP address. So that means now router 1, if we make ping again to 8.8.8.8, yes, we are connected to the internet. And if we make ping to Google to check if the DNS is working, also, we are connected to the internet. So far so good. Router 1 is now connected to the internet. Port number 3 is done. Port number 4, share the internet from router 1. So AP1, which is the UniFi access point, and the PC have internet. Very good. So now, if we go back to the picture, router 1, we said it has now internet. So now what I need to do is to share this internet. So the internet will go to the switch, and this access point and this PC will be connected to the internet. So now how we can share the internet on router 1? We have many things to do. First thing is to put IP address. And this IP address, we have to put it on Ethernet 2. Because Ethernet 2 is going to be our gateway, right? Because this is the one which is allowing the PC and the access point to reach to the router. They are reaching the router on Ethernet 2. So we have to put IP address. Then we have to create a DHCP server, also on Ethernet 2. So that means we have to create a pool of IPs, and any of the PCs or the access point or whatever, any equipment requesting for an IP, it will get an IP from the DHCP server. And then finally we have to do the network address translation, because the DHCP server will provide local IP addresses, so IP addresses which are private, and those IPs cannot go to the internet. So we need to do here on the router a NAT, network address translation, for the IPs which are here inside to be able to go to the internet, so they will be NATed. Okay, so those are basic things. Again, if you don't know those basic things, please go to my MikroTik free of charge course, and then there I explain in details about those things. But I'm gonna go fast for this one to show you at the end that my PC and the access point are going to be connected to the internet. So let's do that. We go to router 1. We said we have to put an IP on Ethernet 2. So I go to IP address, and then I will create here a new IP address, which let's put it something like 10.30.30.1. That's a private IP address, and we put it, remember, on Ethernet 2, because it's gonna be, or this interface is the one connected to the inside network. And then I'll say OK. After we put the IP address, we create the DHCP server. I'll go to IP DHCP server, and then from here we have to go to DHCP setup, and I will create the DHCP server on the interface Ethernet 2. And then I'll say next. It says this is the address space, correct, next. This is gonna be the gateway, which is the Ethernet 2, that's correct also for the users inside the LAN. And the IPs will be provided from 30.2 to 30.254, that's fine. The DNS, okay, and that's it. So this is what I need to do. And the last thing that I need to do is to create the NAT. To do the NAT is very easy. I'll go to IP and I'll go to firewall. I'll go to net here, and then I will say plus. So anything, source net means anything coming from the source, and here you can say the source address, for example, 10.30.30.0/24. So any IP coming from 10.30.30. something, which are the IPs of the inside users, the LAN users, then the action is to do the NAT, and here we have to say masquerade. And then I will say here, okay. And then in this case, the internet now is being shared, and we should be able now to receive an IP to the PC, but also to the access point. Point number 4 is done. Point number 5, check if both the access point and the PC have received an IP from the DHCP server and try to ping them. All right. Let's have a look from the MikroTik router. If we go from MikroTik router and we go now to, let's go to IP, we go to DHCP server, and we go to lease. So here we go. We see that 2 IPs has been leased, and those IPs are one for, you can see this is one for the switch, because actually the switch, it shouldn't receive an IP, but most likely we have configured the switch to receive an IP. Let's have a look. So if we go again to Winbox, and let's go to the switch. So we go to the switch, connect. Let's have a look on IP address. Yes, so most likely on because we made the bridge and then we created the DHCP client on the bridge. So let's remove it. It's not necessarily to have an IP on the switch. All right. So now we can see that this is an IP provided, and we don't know if it's for the PC or for the access point. Let's check if the PC has received an IP. Let's go to my PC, and I will say IP config. So we see that the PC has an APIPA. So because it tries to get an IP before, and there were no DHCP, then the Windows has given him an IP, which is 169.254. That's, we call it an IP-POP. So it's provided from the Microsoft Windows. Now we need to get an IP because there is a DHCP server now. What we need to say here is ipconfig/release. So we release this IP, which is APIPA, and we say renew. So ipconfig/renew, and then enter. Now we should get an IP from router 1, which is 10.30.30.253. So if we go now back to the router 1, let's have a look. Go to router 1, connect. So here we go. This is for my PC, and this one should be for the access point, because the access point is also connected to the switch, so it has received this IP. And if you want, we can, from the router here, try to ping. Let's try to ping to the access point, which is 10.30.30.254. So we say ping to 10.30.30.254. Now this access point has received an IP address, and it's able to be pinged from the router. And now if we go to the PC, it hasn't internet before. Now if I say ping to google.com, and this PC is now able to go to the internet. Now, why we need to have the DHCP server? Because at the end, the users which are going to be connected to the wireless access point, they should get an IP from this DHCP server, from the MikroTik router. Okay, so that's why we really need to have a DHCP server configured. Point number 5 is done, and with this point I have showed you the basic things that we need to do first on the router and on the switch. Remember, in case you don't have a MikroTik router, you just have a switch, you don't need to do anything. So the switch normally is a layer 2 device, then the ports are working as a switch, and you don't need to create the bridge like we've done on the MikroTik CRS. But on the MikroTik CRS, we had to create this bridge. In case you have a MikroTik, that's what you need to do. Now on the router, on every router, you need to do the steps that I have done. To receive an IP from the DHCP server, which is from the ISP. Now, someone can say, well, maybe the ISP is connecting me via PPPoE. Then you don't have to make the DHCP. You have to make PPPoE on your router. But most of the time, those things are made by the ISP. So normally the ISP is the one which gives you the router and it's already pre-configured. But in case not, I'm just showing you how to do on the DHCP. For the PPPoE, I cannot show it to you because it's not included in this course, but I have some other courses speaking about the PPPoE, which you can go to it and then you know how to configure the PPPoE. So we have to make the DHCP client, we have to put the IP on the interface Ethernet 2, we have to create the DHCP server on that interface to provide IP addresses, subnet mask, gateway, DNS, and then we need also to make the NAT, the network address translation. And once we have done all this, we have seen that my PC get an IP, the access point get an IP. So now we finish from that part and we have now to start making all the other effort to make the access point configuration. So this is what I wanted to show you in this lecture. I hope it was informative for you, and I will see you in the upcoming lecture.